Episode 37 in the AM with MC. This is your host MC. Um, I am, let's see, it's Wednesday afternoon. Gearing up to head into my fifth season coaching football, high school football. And so, we've been doing preparations for things of that nature, but very cool to see the NFL get up and running too. I don't really be understanding the NFL timeline very well. Even now, I remember I didn't even know the Hall of Fame game was like a real game until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, but that being said, please don't use that to discredit me, guys. But that being said, yeah, like the NFL timeline is very funky. But as we see now, like the addition of the 17th game, the discourse about an 18th game, it can always change in any facet. But that being said, this is episode 37 of In the AM with MC. Thank you for rocking with us. You can check out episode 36, uh, where I talk about a myriad of topics, mostly the WNBA, and I look at a couple of NBA teams. This time around, we got to start with Bron. Let's just get into it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. If you're a real fan of LeBron James, and if you're not a real fan of LeBron James, you're insane. But if you're a real fan of LeBron James, then you know that he loves attention. He loves the glitz and the glamour. But he also loves to be slightly unorthodox, which is why him going to the Heat in the first place was a big deal. It was unorthodox, it was different, it was his own thing. And he was very confident in the move to the point where he boasted about potentially winning 5 or 6 championships. But that was not the case. And Tim Duncan, his 5 championship era, and I'd say Kobe's 5 championships slew. And you could say Shaq's couple, I guess, even though they were like so far apart. And Michael Jordan's, in the modern adjacent era. Like those are like the three plus, you know, year champions and the Golden State Warriors. I'm sorry. But those are like the people who've won championships like, 3, 4, 5 times and they made it look like that was something that people could just do. But no, like LeBron James and them, oh man, like I just remember thinking that they were gonna win every single game every single time because they were just disgusting in the regular season against teams that had no business being there, like the Bobcats. I think LeBron, it's one team bro, LeBron like hasn't lost to. Like it might be, yeah, it might be Charlotte. He might have like one loss against them, and he's played them like 30 times. He just fries them every time. I think he had his career high against him. He had like 62 against him. I think on the Heat too, but he had that infamous dunk where he stared down Michael Jordan. That was against the Hornets, but that was also when he was on the Heat. The Heat for LeBron was almost like Spider-Man 3. It was almost like a symbiote. You feel me? It didn't feel right. It didn't feel real when he threw on that black red. The white when he threw on the white, he kind of looked a little bit more like a hero, but he was wearing that really ugly mouthpiece. He wore this mouthpiece. I remember this because I'm a real LeBron fan. He wore this mouthpiece that had it had 16 in Roman numerals, so it was white, but in black Roman numerals, it had XVI because he wanted people to know he had to get 16 victories to get his next championship or whatever. And it was such an ugly mouthpiece, but he was hooping. He was LeBron James. He is LeBron James. And so the Miami Heat era was interesting. And it feels longer than it was. It was 4 years, but it feels like it was 25 years. It's 4 years. And he goes back to the Cavs, cinema. I don't even have to get into that cinema. But by that point, I think you just people expected him to drop off at 35. And as we are kind of seeing now, that's not the case with the emergence of modern medicine as well as the talent that LeBron is. I'm not taking away from LeBron James at all, but people always have that stat about his body, blah, 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 blah. Kevin Durant is going into year 20, I believe. 20 or 19 right now. One of the two. And he is looking insane. I mean, Kevin Durant is a special talent. And I've talked about this on the show. And anytime you give me an opportunity, I'll talk about it. Kevin Durant is easily a top 5 talent of a basketball player. The skill, the wiggle, the things he does that you can't teach other people to do. Yes, he's 7 foot tall. Is he going back to the basket? Sometimes. in the high post. Have you seen Kevin Durant out the high post? He's as good as Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. He's as good as all of those players out the high post. He's better at the elbow extended. He's filthy. I mean, Kevin Durant is. I never thought I would see anybody be better than Carmelo Anthony at the things that Carmelo Anthony is good at, and he is another person who is has God given abilities, and I really think it showed when he played for the Blazers. I remember watching those games in college because no one wanted him and all that junk happened. But on the Blazers, he was playing playoff minutes and he was playing like a real power forward before the league made that full shift to power forwards that look like he looks now. He was playing power forward and he was hooping with with that ugly 00 on, but he was actually like getting bucks. Like Melo was hooping. But Kevin Durant, man, like I used to think too, like, oh, he'll never be better than like a Larry Bird type. Because I think I hold Larry Legend in high regard. Now I disagree with that highly. I think Kevin Durant is a top five talent. You know, whatever he ends up with, I don't care. I think he's a top five talent, and I would turn his game on to teach someone the game of basketball. He's as pure a basketball player as you're ever going to see. But back to LeBron James, from the Lakers era was really long too because I didn't even realize some of the players he ended up playing with. I mean, all of these guys around the league who are blossoming in their own ways. Some of them he ended up throwing in trade packages, but Zubac, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, uh, all these guys, he ended up just playing. Julius Randle, I think he played with for a little bit. Lonzo, I remember LeBronzo though. I remember when they played together because of course LeVar was going crazy, but. Yes, LeBron James is really on the Philadelphia 76ers. On paper, this is the best team in the league. Everybody wants to dance around it, but yes, LeBron James is the reason they're the best team in the league. But even outside of that, their general management has done a great job of building pieces around him, similar to the blueprint of other LeBron James teams that have been successful, but also kind of like thinking for the future in a little in an incremental kind of way. So an example of that is the Anthony Simons signing. I love Ant Simons. I think he's a very underrated basketball player. He was one of those dudes who was doing an unconventional thing, doing the whole IMG fifth year thing, um, like before everybody and their mom was doing it. Came in the league a little young. Looked really young. He looked like he was in a toddler. Nah, I'm playing. He looked like he was in like middle school. But he was getting bucks. Like, oh my God, he was getting buckets. He still is getting buckets. And I think he's the fact that he picked up a lot of what Damian Lillard was doing in Portland and was able to kind of bring that to other places in the league. He was not a low percentage player in Boston. He was averaging like 18 or 19. They just traded him because of money. Because they were like Peyton Pritchard averages. He's always the person they go back to with the analytics. But like Peyton Pritchard averages 14, we pay him less, which is fine. But they're saying he's going to take a Jalen Brunson type leap. That's whatever. But don't say that after you trade Jalen Brown to Philadelphia, a team that just smacked y'all on a 3-1 comeback, and have a former MVP in Joel Embiid. Yeah, he's had injury problems. He has a sketchy injury history. He's Joel Embiid. He gave 70 points to Victor Wembanyama, who's going to go down as potentially the greatest defender of all time. Like when I watched the finals this past year, Wemby really vindicated me because I've been saying he was nice, and I said it was going just don't take a second, and that's really what it was. It just took a small second, and he still hasn't scratched the surface of the player he can be. But Wemby is probably going to go down as the defender of the generation, or an all generation defender at minimum, and the best defender of all time at maximum. And watching that on the grand stage, like that was nuts. And Embiid gave baby Bambi, baby Wemby, Embiid gave him 70. Joel Embiid gave him 70. So if you go back and you watch the Olympics, the 4 and the 5 spot has always been kind of difficult to figure out and domestically because a lot of the guards, you know, overseas that America would play in these tournaments, as good as they are, like they played some really good guards who got off on the USA. Like Rudy Fernandez, he got off on the USA so many times to the point where I started to dislike this dude. And I loved him in the league. I loved when he played for the Kings. But I started to dislike him because he used to get off on USA. Ricky Rubio was getting off on USA in international play. Manu Ginobili, tons of these guys. Bellinelli, like I could go up and down the list of players, but mostly guards, who were getting off on the USA. But or sorry, not who are getting off, but who also at the end of the day, they can't hack it with a Chris Paul, with Westbrook, with all of these players at guard who are really explosive and really good. When you have times where like those things cancel out, when those players aren't really like playing good enough defense, or the on the front court side, like you're losing that battle. You have situations like the FIBA World Cup with that team with Ant Edwards and Reeves, and also a situation like '04. Like those are the situations that you kind of run into. So I say all that to say, like, Embiid was a player that showed up and changed the game for the United States of America. Bam Adebayo was hooping too. Don't get me wrong, and he was hooping. But as at the five spot, as like a 7 footer, playing against 7 footers, banging down low, but also forcing those dudes to guard you on a 5 out type situation, hitting pull up threes in transition. Like, Joel Embiid is not stupid. Like, yeah, he jogs sometimes, but everybody's seen a hooper do that little jog, jog, jog to catch a three and then do something explosive in your face. Like, God bless. Like, I ain't never been dunked on in no crazy way like that. But I done seen somebody get dunked on just like that. Me and somebody was running up the court. I'm 5'11". He's probably like 6'2". We running up the court, and I'm thinking he's running the same speed as me, but he kind of like did a little like speed boost, and then he just tapped his head, and his man threw him a little oop, and he caught it two hands. Ring. I said, "Whoa." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what some people do. It's like a little old man move. So Joel Embiid is the difference maker in any game of basketball at any level. And it's crazy that he's another one of those dudes that learned from nothing. We watched him learn from nothing, but he still has room to grow, in my opinion. Like, offensively, he's perfect. Joel Embiid is perfect offensively. He just has to cut out some of the BS he be trying to do to be fancy. But his game is perfect. Defensively, he has some room to grow, but that's not gonna happen overnight with all them injuries he had. And he's carrying, like, he's like 285, 300. Like, that's not gonna happen overnight. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he has room in his game to grow. Embiid, Bron, Maxi, Jalen Brown, VJ Edgecombe. And then the bench, they got Ant Simons, KCP, Dean Wade, Adam Bona. They got dude off the Knicks. Oh my God. This is the best team LeBron has been on from a scale perspective. Preseason, I think these dudes are going to win 63 games, 65 games. Because the East, as people were talking about, is getting better. Yeah, it's getting better, but they're gonna have three teams at the top, just like it's still gonna be top heavy, just like they kind of had. They're gonna have three teams at the top. They're gonna have some teams that's like a tough out, or some nights where you might have to get some sleep. But you think 42-year-old Bron is gonna have a problem being like, hey, you got to get a little extra sleep when you play the Hornets this year because they're not as boo-boo as they usually are, but you probably gonna win though. That's fine. He's gonna what are we talking about here? The only team that's gonna give them problems is the New York Knicks. The Miami Heat don't have enough bullets in the gun to beat this team. This is a deep basketball team. They might win the Giannis Antetokounmpo minutes, but him and Bam is not playing 48 minutes. If they go to overtime, bro, this team, I'm not exaggerating. This LeBron James team is ridiculous. I love you, Bron. I hope that you win because that's the whole point of doing this. Like, you can't expand your business portfolio no more. You're a billionaire. You have 4 rings. You have 4 MVPs. You're not winning an MVP anytime soon. This is a not even a shameless ring chase. This is just like, let me go. Let me go. I always talk about these, hypotheticals. Let me just go hoop and not care because that's what he's gonna do. As long as he stays a high efficiency player, LeBron can hoop any style he wants, and I hope people understand that. The how good the 76ers are is going to depend on the other players. LeBron is going to be LeBron all season or half the season, whatever, because he's old. And in the playoffs, he's going to be Magic Johnson. How the season goes is going to be about Jalen Brown and all them other dudes. But you have Jalen Brown and all them other dudes. They have outside of LeBron James, they have like 90 points of scoring out of the players. If you just look at points per game off last season, add Bron averaged 21 last season. That's 100. That's 111. Like, this man, I'm gonna watch a lot of Philly games because they have the maximum televised they can have for the media deal, which is like 34 or something like that. I'm gonna move on to these NBA teams. Stay with the NBA, and then we're gonna talk a little NFL, and we're gonna talk about Lombardi for a hot sec, for just a little second, and then call it a day. All right, NBA teams. So these are the bottom five, reverse 10 to 7. How they can improve. Golden State, number 10. You know, I have a lot of rappers who I like, and it's like a death for me as well when they drop that first song where you're like, this ain't it no more. You don't got it, like, you know, whatever metaphor you want to use. And I think that with Golden State, Draymond is done. Like, I'm talking about all these players who are playing well into their whatever and still being high efficiency. Like, he's done. To me, he's not worth $27.5 million, which is what they're paying him on a 1 year deal. I think this is the last year for him. They have no shot in the deep Western Conference, even with Stephen Curry, who I believe is an alien sent from a three-point shooting planet. He's a different kind of basketball player. And I was talking about the Olympics. Look at what Steph Curry did in the last couple of games. The 30 ball? Come on. Like, yeah, I have an essay I'm finna add to my book of essays about this very thing. Stephen Curry is a different kind of guy. But when you look at the rest of the team, Steve Kerr should be gone. They made a whole hullabaloo about him being gone and Draymond being gone, maybe. They both back. He should be gone. Jimmy Butler is finally gonna be healthy. He's making $56 million. $56 million for Jimmy Butler in the year 2026, going into the year 2027 is an asinine decision. When you look at the top tier wings in the NBA, Jimmy Butler does not scratch the top 15. In my opinion, he might not scratch the top 20. If I sat here and thought really hard, I could probably name 20 wings that are not only better than Jimmy Butler, but that are probably worth the $56 million you might be paying him, maybe even in increments. Brandon Pods, a guy that the Golden State Warriors refuse to get rid of and will give him quality minutes. He'll probably start a lot of games for them. Not the guy. They got Al Horford, who I think is a better player at 41, 42 than I expected. But come on, son. Kristaps Porzingis cannot stay healthy. When he is healthy, he has that long three he likes to pull. Um, he doesn't give you a lot on defense if you can pull him out of the paint, right? Because what LeBron James specifically has gotten really good at doing at his age is reading when there's no defender in the paint because of three in the key. And guys who don't want to be in the paint anyway are not fiending to get back in the paint once that three in the key is over. Because they're going to tell their coach on film, Coach, I was in the paint. And then I turned and I was trying to look at my man over there and then do. But they like Kristaps Porzingis is not gonna challenge LeBron James at the rim. You know, he's not gonna challenge Tyrese Maxey at the rim. I was naming all them dudes on the 76ers. I didn't even talk about Maxey. But yeah, all the Maxey stands are probably like, you're bugging, you're bugging. The Golden State Warriors to me, the only positive thing they have is oh boy, Yaxel Lindenberg, who played for my Michigan Wolverines. He's a great basketball player. He's a grown man coming into the league. He's 24 years old. He's a big wing. He can do it all. And I think he's Ben Simmons without a filter, without uh completely developed prefrontal cortex, you know. I think he's just very early Ben Simmons. And he can shoot a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that translates to the league. Summer league is summer league. You know, Lonzo Ball dominated the summer league. His first game in the league, he had 2 points or something like that. So no disrespect to Zoe, but you understand, summer league is summer league. So I think that he might be in contention for rookie of the year. It's a deep class, but that's Golden State. I think that this is the last year for Draymond and Steve Kerr. There was a whole thing about getting Anthony Davis if they're going to get Bron. No, the Clippers are a team that can steal a lot of games in the West. They were seeded ninth this past year. They had some addition by subtraction, in my opinion, losing Kawhi Leonard but gaining um, the players that they gained. And everyone says that they're not high on Brandon Ingram. I don't know. I think that, what's interesting is in the NBA, you don't see players get asked to take pay cuts or take pay cuts at all in the way that that happens in the NFL. In the NFL, like if you don't like if you play a certain percentage of your snaps and you don't produce, is there's like an understanding you're going to take a pay cut. It's like, hey, we suggest you take a pay cut, and it's like finalized. And the only way it kind of gets kind of swept under the rug is sometimes that gets turned into the sign-in bonus, And then it's just as a player, it's like you get some liquid cash now, but also you're getting less money overall because you're not producing. That does happen sometimes. But in the NBA, that doesn't happen. Like it would be interesting if they could ask BI to take less, uh, because he plays like a player that shouldn't. I think he's making like 41 or 42. That's a lot. It's a lot of money to pay BI. Even 38 is a lot to pay him. But he's a bucket to me. Like he's really a bucket. I love Darius Garland. They got some players on their team. Uh, Phoenix could be a team too. Devin Booker is always going to be Devin Booker, but the players they're putting around him, old boy from Duke, 7-2, played a good summer league this year. Dylan Brooks, he had a really career. He had a career year last year. He has that enforcer role for them as well. They could be really good. They were eighth last year. I think they could be as high as however they want to be. It really depends how healthy they are and if they can defend. Portland is really enticing to me. I hear Drew Holiday wants that buyout, but I don't know. I would want to stay. It's really enticing with John Morant, Denny, um, Lillard. It's enticing. I think that they could really be a hard team to stop. But if Drew Holiday buys out, I think they're a different basketball team. I think no one plays defense, and that's not what you want. Not even Tom Lord. That's not what you want. And last, number 6 seed last year is Minnesota. Well, Minnesota went out and they got not Ant Man's new running mate, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, who was of Charlotte. Charlotte seemed to have want to get off LaMelo Ball for a long time, and people compared LaMelo's early year struggles as far as missing games to Stephen Curry. Ankle problems, dynamic guards, blah 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 blah, blase blase. And I love Curry and I love Melo, and I think that it would be a disservice to Curry to act like that's the same situation. Steph Curry actually missed less time in totality than LaMelo Ball has missed over a chunk of seasons. Because I think Steph missed a full season and then he missed bunches and bunches and bunches. But Melo just missed bunches and bunches, but they were like much bigger chunks, you know? And yeah, so he hasn't been healthy. And he also has had he has a it's not that he has an image issue per se, it's that there are aspects of his image that don't necessarily gel well with a franchise player, quote unquote, that he hasn't really made any effort to change. Like him cussing like a sailor, him driving recklessly. Those are two things that he can 100% change. Now, the problem is because LaMelo Ball chooses not to change those things, then it becomes open season for analysts to take shots on his character and to talk about things that have nothing to do with basketball, like the clothes he chooses to wear or possibly his partner or something trivial that in the terms of and when it comes to analyzing basketball, those things have nothing to do with basketball. But as soon as he, again, those are two things that he can change as somebody who knows that a lot of young kids look up to him. He's like really one of those first social media basketball players that we followed since he was 12, 13, all the way up until now, where he's about 27 or something like that. But him and Anthony Edwards, they were both neck and neck for rookie of the year way back when. And they're both two guys that could use some growing up. But Anthony Edwards is wiping his brow of sweat right now, knowing that LaMelo Ball is on the team because he has a true one, a true dynamic one on his team, a real deal point guard who can put pressure on the rim, who can deal the ball to other people, who can run a high pick and roll, who can let him be a two. When Anthony Edwards is off the ball, I think he's gonna go back to dunking. He hasn't really been like that dunker he used to be, where he was just putting his you know what on people's heads. Like he did that to old dude off Toronto. That's probably one of his craziest dunks. When I seen that, I really thought dude on Toronto like died or something. It sounded like a crime scene. It was the craziest thing ever. And so I want him to get back to that. And I think this year, Anthony Edwards averages 32, 33, and he is MVP, an undeniable MVP. He's going to average 32, 33. SGA is going to average like 31, and Luka's going to average like 30, 30, 31. But he's going to be undeniable most valuable player to me. A couple things in the football world. Mike Lombardi is on leave at UNC. Mike Lombardi previously kind of with Belichick and lots of other stops and having issues at multiple other stops as well. And it's concerning to me that the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, is allowing this to happen on their watch. Now, in this NIL world, I think anything goes. I know anything goes. I've seen anything goes both firsthand and by word of mouth and online, just like everybody else. And so anything goes. But he made it explicitly known that the New England Patriots were forbidden from being around the UNC program, talking to their players, going to their practices. Uh, UNC is one of the only schools. I think it might be the only P5 school that had no draft picks, but it was or P4. One of the only schools, one of the only big schools that had no draft picks this past year, zero, like none. And their program, their players deserve better. They have all the facilities. They have the nutrition. They got the weights. They got the X's, the O's. They have it all. They deserve better. And it's unfortunate that a lot of this publicity is being brought to this program in this way because a lot of them players just want to ball. They just want to hoop. Now, are they going to be able to do that? I don't know. I don't know because a lot of this off the field stuff from himself, from Belichick and co, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for UNC. You know, it's just not a good look for them. They want for me, it's like I want UNC to succeed. I want them to be about ball because it would be cool and it would make sense for a Belichick led team to go all the way. He knows so much ball. When you watch all of these clips, it's crazy. He knows so much ball, but it seems like they've had issues with some of their general talent evaluation in the past couple of years, or maybe the money that's been put into the program. Because you might say maybe Belichick knew this player wasn't that good, but he's all he could afford. You know what I'm saying? Like that's also the little reality that they kind of live in as well. So you just don't know. You just don't know. I have no knowledge of that, right? But Lombardi is on leave at UNC. Malik Nabers was out there, man. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was AI. I thought it was AI. It was a little route. It was him and Odell both running a little cone drill together. And that's really Nabers. He's going on that knee, that ACL he tore in what last December. So that makes 7 months. I mean, these dudes are well, maybe he didn't go to December. So maybe it was, I think that was week 3 or week 4. So let's call it September or October. Even then, I mean, he's out there, he's running around. He looks good. He looks like he's gonna play week 1. And the only thing he isn't really doing is jumping. I think that's going to come with the rehab, the confidence. He's probably doing a lot of, he probably had rehab right before or right after I saw the clips that I saw, or we saw the clips that we saw. Malik Nabers is going to be out there, and that changes things for the New York Giants. Malik Nabers is a bona fide number one wide receiver. His rookie year, he burst onto the scene. He did have an absurd amount of targets. He had like 130 targets, 140 targets, but he burst onto the scene and 100 plus catches, 1,000 plus yards, like six or eight touchdowns. And he showed that he's an all kinds of things receiver. You can line him up in a slot, you can line him up outside, he can go deep, he can go underneath, he can get you on a shallow. Malik Nabers is a real deal guy. Even and now with this injury, it's going to be interesting because the thing is, and this is not a disrespect to the players because it's more so about the surface, right? A lot of these guys play on this hard turf, and these defensive backs are these like strong, rough dudes. Like defensive backs don't get their just due for being strong guys because you can see a defensive back that's like 5'8", 5'10", 180, maybe 170 to 190, and they're moving weight. They're benching 315 and they're squatting 405 and they're cleaning 315 and they're bruisers on the field. They run and they hit like they're missiles. And if you're a wide receiver, you know, you get hit by those guys and you bouncing off the ground, and them dudes, they make money off you. You know, they make a play off you, they eating. But with Nabers, you have Likely. Those are the two guys that'll probably get the most targets when you think about the air game with Jackson Dart, Isaiah Likely, and Malik Nabers. But then you also have the wide receiver by committee with Calvin Austin, Odell, Darnell Mooney. I like Theo Johnson. He can catch the ball, but like he needs to block. Because if he's gonna play, someone needs to block. If we're gonna play in 12 personnel, one of them two guys need to block. Isaiah Lockley can block though. I've seen him block in the fullback position, but we have Pat Ricard at the fullback, which is nuts. The New York Giants can really be a dynamic offense, and I think that they have to take a lot of what the Chicago Bears did last year. They look a lot like the Chicago Bears. Outside of the strength of offensive line in general, when you look at the construction of their offense, they look just like the Chicago Bears last year. So I think they need to steal a lot from them. With receivers, the numbers aren't going to be super glorious outside of Neighbors potentially. The numbers aren't going to be super glorious. That's okay. You know what the Bears had last year? They had 4 or 5 guys get 600 yards. Loveland, Odunze, um, Luther Burden, all those dudes were like 600 plus yards for the season, and they were successful. And they had 1,000 yard rushers. They were successful. So I think that the Giants, it's hard not to be excited about the Giants. I'm an excited guy about the Giants. I forgot we got like DJ Reader at nose. I mean, the Giants got some dudes. They got, and last year I thought we had some dudes like Holland. He was not a plug and play guy. He made plays in the back half of the season. But they didn't have the plug and play guys that I thought. But I think with Neighbors, I know with Neighbors, him going out there, it's a great sign to the team. They feel good. And outside of the division that they suffered earlier in the offseason with the whatever, that's didn't really stick to me. That's not gonna stick. And I think that it's time for Abdul Carter to get some sacks. It's time for Brian Burns to get in the playoffs. It's gonna be a good season for New York. I can feel it. Um, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is back. Great sign as well when you think about morale. The Kansas City Chiefs are going through an interesting situation right now with Eric Bieniemy and his family. Prayers out to them. Very unfortunate, but it's also something that you know potentially can weigh on a team's psyche, can weigh on their heart. It can be hard not to think about, even while you're out there running routes, trying to make the person in front of you proud of the effort that you're putting in, and all that. Like it could be difficult. So for Patrick Mahomes to be out there, I mean, hey, let's play football, right? I thought Justin Fields was going to get some time. I still think he's going to get some time in the preseason. I know he is, to showcase what he can really, really do, because Justin Fields is a guy who I believe in, but Mahomes, he's out there and he's on that leg, and people are like, he's favoring the leg. No duh. Have you ever torn something? You're gonna favor it for sure. And the braces that they wear are huge. Like they're huge and they're clunky, but they're meant for you to favor it, and they're kind of meant for you to get used to the brace. And then you're supposed to take the brace off, and then obviously you're gonna have a little period where you're like, damn, where's the brace? But then that's like the strength, like you strengthen it in that way. And so it's gonna take a second for Mahomes, but I need a receiver of his to get right. I saw John Gruden talk about how Mahomes hasn't had 1,000 yard receiver in a couple years since Tyreek Hill. Yes, Kelsey had 1,300 yards a couple years ago. He's not a receiver. We're talking about the wide receiver position. Has not had 1,000 yard receiver in 5 years. Has not had 1,000 yard rusher since Kareem Hunt, so maybe 4 years. So they need to do that. They have Kenneth Walker, who's fresh off the Super Bowl, signed a 3 year, $50+ million year contract with them. He needs to be the guy. He needs to be a bell cow. He needs to show that they can move the ball. If you look at the way that the Chiefs have moved the ball the past couple seasons, they're known for a lot of these trick plays and these gimmick plays and these shovel plays because they can't run the football. It's cute, but like it's 4th and 1. They can't run the football. They can't just line up and run a football play and just run the ball because their team is that bad. They average less than 4 yards a carry in the past 3 or 4 seasons. They cannot run the football, so they just choose not to. They just run goofy stuff, and it works, and that's why it's so frustrating for other teams, I'd imagine. But it works. So Kansas City is always going to be a threat. Andy Reid is always going to be a threat. Thank you for being here with the kid. This is episode 37.